Good afternoon, John Donovan,
Hey, Marty Keller.
and good afternoon to everybody who's joined us. It's Marty Keller and John Donovan doing the Intentional Living podcast here. The beginning of July, we took some time off the last 2 or 3 weeks as I spent some time back in Michigan doing my family reunion and had the opportunity to spend time with all of my siblings and many of their kids and some of their kids' kids. So
Oh,
we had
wow.
the
Yeah.
multi-generational family reunion and had a lovely time. And but before we get into that, just to for the newcomer, let you know what we're doing here on the Intentional Living podcast. This is an opportunity for all of us to learn how to break patterns of behavior that we find ourselves indulging in, that we have a thought in our mind saying, I don't want to be doing this. And we go ahead and do it anyway. Uh,
Yeah.
Sometimes we might find ourselves screaming at somebody or criticizing somebody. And in our minds, we go, I shouldn't be doing this. And I find I can't stop myself. Or it could be the reverse. It could be a behavior I tell myself I should be doing, and I don't do it. Like um, I should avoid taking that donut, and I just go ahead and eat it anyway. So,
Or I should exercise.
or I should exercise, right? I should get off my duff and go do a workout. So these patterns of behavior that many of us, actually every human being, frankly, has a challenge with that there seems to be a disconnect between what our conscious mind says we want to be doing and what our bodies or our inner compulsions seem to want to do instead. And
Right.
so the intentional living process that John developed over the course of many years is a way for us to demystify those behaviors, begin to appreciate what's really going on, and then to befriend those behaviors and ultimately to create what we want. We may want, now that we're aware of these behaviors, we may want to keep them. There's nothing wrong with our choices, or we may want to create something entirely different. What we discover here is that we can't create something different until we really put our finger on what's the original uh, impulse that's going on. And
Right.
almost always, it's an impulse that's hidden in our subconscious mind. And so, Mr. Donovan here is my colleague and my mentor. He's a gentleman who came up with the practice. This is a practice now. It's not a necessarily a theoretical construct, although we can talk about it in those terms. But there's a
Hmm.
practice that's involved that helps me or you or any of us get at something hidden inside our subconscious that is directing that compulsive behavior. And once I become aware of that, I'm now free to create something different. Um, I'll also say for the newcomer, that we do the work for the most part in group settings. So there are a number of intentional living process groups that meet every week. I think there's four that meet over the course of the week. They're all on Zoom. And at the end of the podcast, we'll talk about how any one of you who's would like to join us would be able to do that.
Yeah.
So, so with that, just um, like to check in with you and see what's new with you and what's been on your mind in the continuing saga of learning about yourself.
I was in class this morning on Friday mornings. I have uh, go into West Coast recovery and work with people. And I do the same thing. I talk about accountability and what I learned in the jail about myself and through my own recovery about how to change patterns of behavior um, in a way that's effective um, and lasting. Uh, a lot of things in my recovery, I was able to shift. Like I remember one time I quit drinking for 6 months, and that proved to me that I didn't have a problem with alcohol, and yet I found myself going back to the pattern and it getting cumulatively worse. Um, and in my recovery process, somebody said, this is a cunning, baffling, powerful, they refer to it as a disease. Um, so my question was, what's cunning, baffling, and powerful? And in my experience working in the jail for that 15 years, working with violent offenders and addicts, and my own recovery, I discovered that cunning, baffling, and powerful. Cunning, baffling, powerful thing that was standing in my way, and it was everything internal with me. Had to do with unresolved trauma. And the way to access healing is through the feeling body. And I want to say for any newcomer and people that are newcomers, when I talk about feeling body, I'm not talking about the five senses feeling: see, hear, taste, touch. That's feeling. Smell. That sense allows us to access things outside of ourselves, like feel things soft, feel things rough, feel things hot, feel things cold. The feeling I'm talking about is synonymous with emotion or frequency or tone, internal body sensation. And this morning I was talking about that again, and I heard myself say that accessing the body sensation enables us to get the information from the subconscious. And I don't know, I wrote that down. It's like I got to remember that because that's the first time I said it that way. I've talked about feelings and emotions in the feeling tone, whatever it is, and it's a body sensation. Usually, when I try to use words to describe that feeling tone, they're woefully inadequate, and it doesn't speak to the dynamic that's happening in me. So one of the things I assist people to do, number one, is to recognize that that's there for them. That's access to vital information about how I can thrive. It's about gleaning information that's in that invisible, I'm going to call it toroidal quantum field that gives me information so that I can move to fulfillment. The physical sense of feel keeps me see, hear, taste, touch, smell keeps me from like bumping my head on low hanging objects. Getting a coat when I'm cold. If I didn't feel cold, there'd be no need. I might freeze to death. So that's about survival. Feeling tone emotions are about how I relate to myself and everything around me, people, places, and things in the current reality that offer me information about myself. In my attempt to sobriety, in my attempt for sobriety, in my attempt to change my communication style, and my communication style was rife with emotional and verbal coercion or violence. It was an adversarial communication style. I learned that what I perceived going on in my mind, what my perception of it was hooked into subconscious. We call it triggers. Like if something happens, we call it, you triggered me. It's like in a conversation with somebody and they turn their back and leave the room. We call that a trigger. And I'll get mad or I'll scream and yell or ask, what are you doing that for? And the trigger comes from unresolved trauma.
Well, and if I may, that trigger is a feeling tone. It's an acute feeling inside me first
Right,
before it's a
right,
thought about you did this to me or whatever.
right. And if it's a problem, just identifying the feeling And when I'm thinking about my perception about what that other person is doing, instead of um, knowing that my reaction, let me put it this way. In most of these situations in my life, I would react instead of being proactive or considerate or inclusive. Those are things I've learned to do. Before it was about attack, and I was stuck in this perception, and the end result was always I'm wrong, you're wrong, or everybody's wrong, or I'm gonna go drink, or I'm gonna go to work. Um, and today, attempting to explain this to novices or people who just came in the program, I said my body sensations, which are feelings, and these feelings I'm talking about, emotional, are physical. You know, the sense of touch, smooth, like I run my finger across the computer top, it's smooth. That's physical. Oh, and the trauma response or reaction is also physical. But I'm not seeing that there's hidden information in it. I'm not in my childhood family of origin dysfunction, childhood trauma. I estranged myself from this awareness of my self, physical, emotional, feeling body, um, which resulted in a list of results that I found myself codependency, addiction, avoidant behavior. So when I'm just noticing body sensations, I gain insight into the subconscious, where before I didn't even know it was there to give me information. I, I didn't see the importance of it or the vitalness of feeling tone. To experience love, it's a feeling tone. To experience trauma is a feeling tone. Um, Herein lies the conundrum. When my parents said, "John, I love you," but so I got love, feeling tone, mixed up with I'm in trouble or I did something wrong or it was confusing. So I disconnected from my feeling emotional body. And in our society, generally speaking, and this is on a continuum because everybody experiences it differently. Growing up as a man, I was expected to act a certain way. No crying, um, get the job done, know the answer, uh, or make one up, find the answer. Um, and I estranged myself from my feeling emotional body because I perceived it as so I lost connection to information that assisted me to thrive.
So
Before I got in my recovery, I was surviving. I survived.
so can I
I was
clarify?
miserable. Yeah,
uh,
please.
Excuse me. So what you're talking about, let me see if I get this right. So what you're talking about is when you're a little kid, you would have feelings that somehow you were told were inappropriate.
Right.
Or you would have, it's like when you heard I love you, like even when you were just talking and I hear I love you, I start to get a certain elation inside my upper chest. It's like that balloon's blowing up. And then as soon as you said but, I could feel it deflating.
Right. Yeah. There it
And
is.
so I think that's what you're talking about is that we have these fundamental basic body feelings, oftentimes, but not always in the gut, somewhere in the chest gut area
Yep.
that um, are natural to us as when we're little kids. There's just these natural feelings that
Yeah.
come
Hmm.
go all the time. In fact,
Hmm.
that's until we're old enough to think, that's basically all that's happening for us is We're like this kaleidoscope of feelings, and then someone is basically trying to tamp down some of them, maybe not all of them. And that's where I'm hearing you say that's where this disconnect began,
Right.
is that the people who loved you, upon whom we depend for our physical and emotional sustenance, told us that certain feelings were in the way of that love.
Right. It was conditional. We would be loved if we acted a certain way. And when I talk about the childhood feelings of elation, of curiosity, of adventure, of awe, of little kids seeing things for the first time and just getting all excited, or I remember my grandson. Anytime he heard a train or saw a train, he just got oh, a train, a train, a train. And now
I still do
I
that, by
don't
the way.
remember this. Yeah, I don't remember this happening to me. But what I'm assuming is I got told, shut up, you're loud. I'm driving. I'm trying to pay attention. What are you doing? How come? Sit down, behave. So this elation is something to avoid. And so I try to figure it out with my rational mind, dampen that. And, as a man, I pre-recovery, people would feel stuff or get excited. I wonder what are they doing? What's going? I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. In fact, my perception of it was that it was silly, and I don't want to be silly. And yet, it was just a feeling of life force, of glee, of oh my god, a face, or crying. People would cry and they get this face, and I'm like, what's wrong with it? Stop that! Don't do that. But sadness, when it's appropriate, like loss, is processing, you learning, maturing, experiencing life as it is, not the way somebody told you it should be. So even the experience of grief or loss or sadness wasn't appropriate in my family. It's like, why are you sad? How come you're angry? I work hard. You got you got food on your plate. You got clothes on your back. What do you got to be sad about? It's like, well, okay, just a myriad of things that happen in life. The dog died. I don't know, something. Um, and that's my experience of that moment in my life. Now, I'm going to say this, that I lost, that had richness to it, fulfillment, life in it, even though we're classifying it as loss, like a dog died, which I remember, um, or loss. So we developed it, and now we're getting into communication style. I developed a communication style where I said some feelings are good, some feelings are bad.
Right.
I could have the good feeling, but I can't have the bad feelings. Well, what I'm saying is I can't experience my total life. I can only experience what somebody told me was appropriate. And then then I had to do it like sensibly, maturely, uh, and so
So then what happens, if I'm following you right, is that we become the repressor of our own feelings. We
yes,
we sort of take over the role without being
yep,
conscious of it.
yep,
Friends, at the top of the podcast, they said we're talking about compulsive behaviors. And one of those compulsive behaviors is the repressing, like when you're talking just a minute ago about feeling elation, how many times have I been in my own life experience and also working with other people where elation is obviously a mortal sin. Like
yeah,
you can't feel that. There's
right,
something wrong, or people get elated and they look over their shoulder like there's somebody
yeah,
there's like a hammer gonna come down.
well,
Maxwell's silver hammer is gonna come down upon their head.
right. And depending on what dogma or tradition or you were in, you just committed one of the seven deadly sins,
Right.
or you committed a thing that separated you. Now you gotta like repent. No, I don't want to get this confused with moral action, right action, of considering other people and being judicious. That's different. Um, and that judiciousness and capacity, I call it discernment and detachment, of when to say, what to say, to what intensity to say, comes with maturation in the feeling tone. Without being in the feeling tone, the capacity to gain wisdom is lost because you're not experience comes through feeling tone. So I'm going to just wrap this up. I in this what I just described, I find myself not learning the lesson, making the same mistake over and over and over, doing the same thing, expecting different results. All those cliches. I don't know, they're not cliches, but things we use to describe, the disease of either alcoholism or family origin dysfunction, and I was expected to think my way out of it. Well,
Right.
no, it's not going to happen. What I'm presenting in this material, intentional living accountability, is to feel my way through it. Rudolf Steiner said something really profound that I heard one time. He said, a child between the ages of 1 and 7, needs to experience themselves in this feeling tone of anger, which is, that wasn't okay, that hurt, and an expression of, that's not okay. That's like anger. It's like, no, you can't do that to me. Because when they grow up, they're going to have to muster this energy of taking care of yourself in the face of what's happening in the culture and your life and your family and school, um, to stay safe. And when I heard that, it was like, oh, I wasn't allowed to be angry because I got told, what are you angry for? There's nothing to be angry about, because the people that were could have been my mirrors or my guides or my nurturing parents didn't have theirs. And if I had mine, that would either make them wrong or scare. I don't know. It was this is how the intergenerational passing on of trauma happens. I Traumatized people traumatize. Hurt people hurt. Um, and this process we're talking about, this feeling sense, is out of the normal frame of reference, and yet vital. This understanding, experience of this, what we're talking about, feeling, tone, body, sensation, is vital to my authenticity, my genuineness, my capacity to express freely, judiciously, with the ability to be discerning and detached. Um, but then again, that would be my choice to when to express my, and considering people around me and situation. If I'm at church, I don't want to be screaming, "Oh, I'm happy! Oh, I'm happy!" It's like I can feel that, but if I'm in church, I got to consider other people, what they're doing. They're paying attention to the minister. So that's what I mean by judicious. But I can still have the feeling. I can still feel elated without feeling guilty. Or one of my intentions, when I go to a 12-step meeting, is I intend to be unapologetically joyful. Because I would go to those meetings with the recovery I had, talk about how well things are, and I thought, well, maybe I'm embarrassing somebody or making them feel, or no, I get to be unapologetically joyful, which was an insight, and this is very long ago that I got this insight, that oh, okay, no, I can still be judicious. So I don't know, where do we go from here? It's like,
Well, we just have about 5 minutes left. Let's start in the 5 minutes that we have or so. Let's drill this down for the newcomer into why is all this relevant to the accountability tree practice.
Right.
I mean, the thing that brought me here is that there's a very specific practice that you taught us that has two basic steps, and the first one is around this feeling the feelings, to generalize, to become to let essentially let the feelings open the door to the subconscious.
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily use those words when we were first learning this. It doesn't matter. Um, so that I'm now prepared to make the second step. I'm present with my actual feelings, whatever they are. And oftentimes, and when we're doing this initially, I became present to feelings that I hadn't allowed myself to feel,
Yeah.
and they were not always pleasant. I mean,
No, no, no,
oftentimes
no.
it was shame, and shame I still find one of the most difficult feelings to bear in my body. My body does
Mhm.
not want to feel shame, and it's an overwhelmingly difficult experience. Um, Anger, like you said, oftentimes, like I could feel myself I could just feel myself repressing anger the minute it would show up.
Mhm.
Be that as it may, the accountability tree process, is to get to the feeling of what's really on the table in the moment.
Okay.
And once I feel that feeling, now I've created space to ask myself, what do I want? Do I want this feeling, or do I want something else? And if I want something else, what might that be?
Okay. So the accountability tree is just simply stating the truth of where you're at. Example, me becoming aware that my communication style was coercive. Well, how could I, what's the word? I'm mean. That would be, I'm mean. And I'll say that, I call it the truth in the accountability tree process without blame or judgment. Blame free, judgment free. How do I do that? I just state the truth that I've discovered and then take a breath. In that breath, my body knows how to feel. Sometimes when I try to describe it, it takes away from it. So I'll lead people to the truth. Where their truth could be, I see myself as a burden, which as an adult, no. But this gnawing, okay, so I'll ask them, I'm a burden. Well, that's the message they got when they were children, that you're a burden. That was subconscious, out of my reach, out of my conscious reach. So I'm a burden. Blame free, judgment free, take the breath. That initiates that statement, I'm a burden, has encoded in it the trauma feeling that said being a burden would be a good idea, to see yourself, to own, to be a burden. And when you feel that, sometimes when every time when you try to describe it, you lose part of it. So I'm a burden, nice deep breath, and there's just this flush or constriction or up or down. That's the emotion. We don't have to describe it.
Correct.
But it's also a raise in awareness. What's
Yeah.
the awareness? Oh, I believe I'm a burden. Oh my God. Oh, then we ask, what do you want to change that to? I intend to. We use the word intent. If if your truth, which is not really true, it's a lie, but that's the lie
But
that
your
the
experience is real.
yes, yes. So you say, I'm burdened, raised in your frequency. That's a feeling tone. We don't know what it is. We don't know what happened in the childhood to lead you to the conclusion or to the, and you really didn't think you were burdened, but all your actions showed that you were a burden. You became a burden by your actions, which mine was codependency, alcoholism. Okay, so then in that feeling tone, I say, oh, I intend to hold myself in high regard. I intend to know that I'm valuable beyond measure. I intend to know, oh, I intend to love myself just the way I am. And all those things I just said that I'm giving myself in this moment of feeling is what I didn't get as a child. So I stuffed the feeling. Now the feeling, oh, whatever it was, you dumb little shit, or a spank on the hand, or why you angry? I give you everything and you shouldn't be angry. Gets to move through out because you validated it in a really awkward, counterintuitive way by saying the truth that the subconscious is holding on you. I'm a, it's like finally you're listening to me. Oh, I intend to hold myself in high regard. I intend to know that I'm valuable beyond measure. Nice deep breath. Boom. Changes the subconscious, releases the trauma, and you find yourself different in just about every situation. I said, what's different? I ask people that question, what's different? And one of the answers I get a lot is, John, everything. It's like everything's different. How I see people, how I feel about it, how I respond, it's different. And then we build on that difference because it's still out of the realm of words and dialogue and what's another word for that? Um, Being able to explain with words. Okay. So we just do it again. We do it over and over. I can't tell you how many times I've done that practice, just like I outlined it, said some truth about myself, like I'm codependent, I'm addicted. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I intend to be sober. I intend to be discerning. I intend to be discerning and detached. Nice deep breath. And I find myself with these qualities now, just like I found myself with the belief that I was a burden, even though it was subconscious, and acting out as if I'm a burden. I'm now acting as if I'm valuable beyond measure. That I love. I make mistakes. Everybody does. What did I learn? Instead of, oh, you dumbass, how come you did that again? No, you'll never learn. No, I made a mistake. That happens. What do I want to do next time? That's a now I'm in a learning process. Where before I was that self-critical. Okay,
We were
just
stuck in a
stuck.
compulsive behavior pattern that
Yeah,
we talked about at the top of the podcast. And
yeah.
this, my friends, is an example of what we're talking about. The accountability practice helps, and John, you use the word, it's a teaching moment, but it's also an incorporate the
Hmm.
lesson.
Yeah,
And like you said, doing it over and over and over again, it's like we can't change a habit overnight. It takes regular practice. It takes a certain discipline, and that's what we do here.
yeah,
So we're going to wrap this up for now. We can pick this up next week.
yeah.
Excuse me. And as I said to everybody at the beginning of the podcast, there's a number of meetings where we do this actual work. We bring our challenges, we bring our uh, frustrations, we bring our fears, we bring our so-called misbehaviors to the group. And John or I or several of our colleagues will facilitate and help each person who wants to come to the feeling that these particular incidences are probably um, asking to release, asking to be felt. And how you can access those meetings, when they are, what time, they're all on Zoom, will be at the end of the podcast. So I invite you to feel free to join us and check this process out for yourself. And if you are a veteran of this work and you haven't been here for a while, come on back. I miss you. Um, so with that,
Yeah.
John, I'll leave you to have the last word.
Um, I have come to life I never knew possible. So this isn't the only process. This is a process in combination with my willingness to do other things, go to meetings, talk to people that know more than I do. Yeah, I've come to a life I couldn't have articulated 10 years ago.
Me too. And
Yeah.
with that, we invite everybody to do the same for yourselves. And
Yeah.
we'll pick this up next week. Thanks,
You got
John.
it. Hmm.